Welcome back. My name is Andrea Kwanya. I'm the founder of BGRM Consulting, which is umbrella to the Only Black Girl on Mars podcast and publication. So I am coming to you telling a little bit longer diversity topic with my support dinosaur Fuji. And we wanted to address the comments that I made in response to the Twitter thread that's trending where a white manager spills the tea basically on how a lot of managers um, treat black employees. And as a black woman who literally has now committed her whole life to bringing up corporate issues that need to be reformed, I was on reeling. I was just reeling when I read it because I was like, this is so close to my experience. It is so close to the experiences that so many black women are confiding in me about, and I had to speak up about it. I had to speak up, and this is the first time that I have publicly named my former company, Giant Spoon, in relation to any of the notes that I made in my story. The whole point of this video is not to sit here and talk about Giant Spoon, but I want to talk about a very, very important um, issue that nobody is really taking time to talk about and address, which is the fear factor. Why are people not being vocal about their experiences? And the answer is fear. And it's fear on both ends. So you have leadership who has someone to answer to. They have numbers, they have things that they have to achieve and push in order to keep their jobs. And then similarly, there is the fear of the employee who wants to work in a very safe space, but they have fear of retribution. That could mean no bonus, that could mean no promotion, that could mean less work and termination. And it also affects your reputation. So fear of your internal reputation. Are people going to gossip about me? They don't know the whole story. They only see things at surface level. They never know what's going on behind closed doors, but people make things up. And the last one, which I think is probably the one that people worry about the most, and that is fear of your reputation as it relates to your network. So let's stick to advertising as the industry for the examples. It's a small network of people. Most of the time, if you know someone in advertising, you're going to have a few people that run in the same circles, and that's because a lot of the agencies are revolving doors. It's common to go in and out. And so if we think about employment maybe a few decades ago, where the expectation was that you stay at one place for a very long time, versus now where you kind of need to have those relationships and those connections in order to prove that you have someone that can vouch for you. And the other thing is, if relating it back to if you're vocal about your experience, if you've had a negative experience, companies may relate that that you being vocal or public is going to be something that you would do if you worked for them. In my opinion, that's a fallacy. If you're insecure with your company culture to the point that you think that someone would come there and be able to say that they have a negative experience, if you think people are hopping jobs in order to speak ill of companies, then you have a real misperception of what it means to sit down, document, and recount difficult situations. It's not like we sit at home and do this for fun, like, and on top of our extra work, instead of playing with our pets, talking to our friends, seeing our partners, our family, or doing our hobby, or just watching a bad TV show. No one is trying to badmouth companies for fun. It's not like a pleasure-seeking activity. And I think that is a fallacy that a lot of people assume. I remember a year ago I was on a panel at Giant Spoon as I sat on the Diversity Council. I've been doing diversity training and peer education for 15 years, and I sat on this panel where we were talking to young people of color in advertising, and one of the VPs on the panel said one thing he hates the most is when he sees that someone was vocal about a bad experience. And to me, I thought that was a very dangerous thing and a privileged thing to say to people that we're the minority in advertising, and likely we're going to have difficult experiences. And this is the way that we navigate which places are safe for us to go, which places are going to have our best interest in mind, which places are really going to support us. So if you're telling people, if you're instilling in the next generation of advertisers that they shouldn't use their voice, that just says a lot about you and your fears and your insecurities. The other thing that I sort of noticed is that companies, when they're in the wrong, it is sort of like a waiting game. Should I say something? Should I not? A lot of people reached out to me after to see if I was okay. Well, a few. I won't say a lot. A handful. And even after I published this, a few people reached out to me. None of them were of Giant Spoon leadership or management still. And to this day, people are shocked. People are shocked that no one has reached out to me. But I digress, because this is kind of going to the 2 points that I want to land on. And people are in fear of their reputation, right? So the first is internal reputation. But I say, were these people who may be gossiping about you, did they provide any value in your life prior to this? Likely not. They're likely friends, family, partners, hardcore fans of the company, and they have no say in your career future. And so just think of it that way, where they were probably not invested in you prior to this, and it won't be a loss. Now on the larger scale, in terms of your network, that is a risk. It is a risk. And I was afraid to speak up until yesterday. Until yesterday, I had this fear, is it going to affect my business? It's natural. But I realized, thinking about it, the companies that I want to work with, the companies that I want to partner with, and the individuals that I want to continue working with are going to be people who laud your courage and attempt at being honest and creating a transparent environment. They will be secure enough in understanding that you are recounting an honest experience in your life. You're not doing it to pick on anybody, but you're doing it in order to protect other people and sort of to call up an issue that needs to be addressed. And those are the people that you want to work with. Those are the people that you want in your corner. If you have people trickling out of your network because of X, Y, and Z, then so be it. Like, think of it as a blessing. And that's my opinion. I think that companies have the potential to really, bye Totoro. Companies have a real opportunity to really put a mirror up to their face and see who are they to their employees, not only to the outside world. I don't care if you have a black square, anti-racist. I don't care if you put up numbers that you have 11 black employees. Like, it doesn't make a difference if you're not choosing to really reflect on how to prevent any of those things. Because if all of the same leadership that created these hostile environments are sitting here silent and doing the same thing, then what is the difference? You have some external facing imagery, but what is the difference? So instead of consulting with real professionals to figure out what's going on, you're turning to the same professionals that caused the issue. That doesn't make sense. That is just going to repeat a situation. Now, a general bit of advice that I would give to companies is leave your Black employees alone. Ask them if they want a break. Don't ask them to tell you how to fix your shit. Like, on top of all of the stress and PTSD that we are dealing with right now, do not take this time as an opportunity to get advice from your Black employees unless you're going to pay them extra. Pay them a little bonus for actual diversity consulting. Otherwise, leave them alone. It's one thing to want to influence change on your organization, but understand this: the Black employees that do know the behavior that's going on and that are still there, they're there to make bread and go home. They don't need to sort of sit around and like teach anybody anything. They're gonna say their piece, but really they kind of want to make that cash and not have any problems, because a lot of people, and this is across the gamut, a lot of my friends who still have jobs just feel lucky and don't really want to rock that boat. So just put yourself in people's shoes. Leave the Black people alone. Unless they come forward and tell you that they want to speak out, you should be doing more to see what you can do for them. Don't drain people's energy. And that's one of the first things that companies need to figure out is empathy. Is what I'm doing causing someone to be uncomfortable? Because in order for us to get through our day, we often have to just smile through really uncomfortable things. All in all, I never have regrets. Like, I don't know who's going to read my story. I don't know who's going to even see my posts or if it will go anywhere. If not, like, I needed to purge. I needed to be honest. I needed, like, and I need people to know that I didn't take this lying down. The reason why I was put on that plan was when I sat down in a room for 2 hours where I brought up the fact that there were behaviors that were causing me to be very uncomfortable. I seem very quiet and I can seem meek to a lot of people, but if things are not okay, I'm at least going to try and bring them up. And in that circumstance, yes, like I said, there were a group of people who dropped out of my network, and here I am working on myself, working on my own business. And so if Giant Spoon or other companies cannot take the experiences of Black women seriously, then you need to hire someone to figure out what to do in order to learn, because we exist in the world and we're not here to be made to seem as though we have no skills or capabilities. If that's how you see us, then why hire us? Let us go somewhere else where we can shine. I think, yes, there is internally, structurally, corporate fear no one wants to say anything. Right now, there are former managers reading my stories who stopped following me when I left, and now they're reading it with no comments. And the no comment is a heavy laden thing. It tells a lot um, about the investment in a company to change. You know, like your current employees are going there because they just want to make bread, go home, and not really be bothered, especially your Black employees who are dealing with trauma right now. They don't want to be bothered. And instead, you know, Giant Spoon actually has a lawsuit against them from a white man who claims that he was suffering from a hostile work environment. And this is actually being taken seriously. This is considered an account that is enough to press charges for. But Black women everywhere have these issues every day where they're suffering from real microaggressions, and they're told that they are over-exaggerating. So I tell you all of this really to flip the perspective. If you are afraid that your reputation is going to be damaged, by whom and with whom? Are these the actual appropriate people that you want to work for? Because I trust you, there are going to be people across many organizations who will relate to you and who will believe you and understand, and they're going to want to uplift you. Thanks so much for joining. This is a different format, but I'm glad I was able to share, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.